Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new project. We are going to be working with Stamperia Sleeping Beauty. I will have done a walkthrough, so hopefully you'll have already seen that. I have got two 12x12, two 8x8, and two 6x6 of this collection, so I'm sure we're going to do more than one project. I also have, oops, I dropped them. Hold on. Rice papers. I have this one. It says Fairy Tales. It has a little fairy on it. And I have this one that has the castle. So we'll be using those. And I have the die cuts. And I feel like I have some other stuff for this collection. Hang on. Yes, I know I had this. I had the wooden shapes. This one. I think there's more than one, but this is the one I have. I also have this little decorative chips 3D gazebo. But I'm not using that in this particular project. That's for another project. But if you're placing the order, that's what I have. So two 12x12, two 8x8, two 6x6, the die cuts, the wooden shapes, and that little chipboard gazebo. Okay. So let me set these aside. I don't need them yet. Actually, I don't need this right now. There is a link down below to Scrap and Create. This is a design project for Scrap and Create. And I will also have links to the products. I will have a link to the cutting guide for this project as well. Now, before we start, I will have shown you the finished, but I'm going to bring over this mock-up just to give you a clear idea, because I don't know how clear it will be in the finished project after it's all decorated, how it works. This one is wider. This is the mock-up, and I wasn't sure how wide a spine I would need. This is a 3 and I didn't like it, so I ended up making it 2.5. So if you, hopefully you can see from the top, we have a pocket page. This one has a flap on it. It's a pocket page. There's a sewn signature, another pocket page, another sewn signature, and another pocket page. So when we get to the hinge, it's going to be a little different, and when you look at the cutting guide, you'll see the measurements are a little odd, because what I have here is a regular 1/2-inch fin, then I have a 1/4-inch fin, 1/2-inch fin, 1/4-inch fin, 1/2-inch fin, okay? And I'm telling you this right off the bat because if you're experienced and you know how to make a hinge, I don't want you to look at that cutting guide, think, oh, she made a mistake, and just make it another way. This is how it's supposed to be, okay? So let me get that off to the side. And I actually made the mock-up to be sure I had those measurements correct. Okay. And let us, okay. And then, let's see, this is going to be page 1. That's page 1. I don't have everything cut out, but I have enough for us to get started. Okay, so these are the base pages. They are 6 by 8.5, and we finished. I ended up with this size. I know that some people like it to be at least 6 1/4, so you can get a 6-inch photo this way. But in order to like if I fold, the biggest paper I can fold in half and get is a 12x12 and get 6 inches wide. I can't get it any wider, so that's how I ended up with 8x6. So if you want to put a photo sideways like that, you're going to have to trim it just a tiny bit. So what I've got is I scored these at 1/2 inch, so it's 8 plus this 1/2 inch on all 6. You're going to need 6 because we have 3 pocket pages. So let me make one. I'm just going to peel a little bit of this back. I have to lift it up so I can see. I'm sorry. Oh, I forgot to trim my corner, but that's okay. And then just line it up. And pull off the tape. And I am going to trim the corner on this one. It's not that big a deal. It just reduces bulk and makes it a little less visible, that's all. And a lot of people don't do it. So don't worry about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And then this side is just going to come right down on top of it. So go ahead and get that out of the way. And there we go. One pocket page. Now, for page 1, let me grab. I usually try to have, when I'm doing these, I generally will go through and see if there's a page that, especially for the first page, where I really want to feature specific areas of the mat or a mat that'll work in a particular way. And I have this on the 8x8. So what I've done is cut 2 flaps, one that's going to have this gentleman on it, and one that's going to have the horse and castle. So we're going to use the 8x8 for that. So let me pull that out. I am using craft cardstock. You could use white, although I think a creamy color might be better than white, but white would be fine. Black would be fine. There's a lot of black outlining in this, so black would be fine. Oops. Okay. And I am going to, I think, use an accent color cardstock. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure I have anything that'll work. If you have aqua, that would be great, but I'm pretty sure I don't have aqua. Navy would probably work, but I don't know if I want to use navy, so we'll find out. You will already know, because you'll have seen it. If you don't have or don't want to use an accent color, that's fine. Just use the craft or the white or whatever it is you're going to use. All right, I'm just trimming the corners. You can check your cutting guide. And I have somehow lost my favorite blue ruler, and I've torn my studio apart and I can't find it. So I know it's 8 inches tall and 3.5 wide, and I believe this was 5.5 wide. Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna essentially duplicate this page. So we're gonna put the narrower one on the left. And of course this has been scored down the long edges, burnished and taped and all that. And look what I did with the end of that tape. I've got it facing the wrong way. There we go. I'm just double checking I'm going to have enough overlap for the magnet, and I am going to have enough. I probably ought to have checked that first. Huh? And just going to make sure that's lined up. Oh, I forgot to trim my corners again. My good, I'm in such a hurry because I want to see how it looks. That's fine. Okay, let's put the magnet on before I forget. It's pretty tall. Could use 2 maybe. Yeah, I think I will. Because I don't like when, if you put it in the middle, sometimes the ends curl up. Usually the matting will stop that, but just to be sure, I'm going to use 2. You can use 1 pair if you want. Alright, so I am going to put them on the base first because that's going to be the narrower. And you don't want to put them too close to the edge, any of the edges, because it'll make it hard to mat. That's good. And grab another piece. Oh, I want to show you after I put this down. I've set aside some papers to use in the signatures, and I want to show you which ones they are so you can set yours aside as well. If you want yours to look just like mine is. Okay. And that's nice. Now, how wide is this? Okay, I should know. It's 6 plus 5 plus 3. 6 plus 8. So 14. Okay, the reason I'm measuring across like that is to see what we can do in the way of a continuous mat there. Just to get an idea in my head. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut these. And so they need to be 7 7/8 tall. And this is, so 2 by 2 7/8. This one, I need 2 7/8 on this side, and I need 4 7/8 from that side. It should be just about right down the middle. Or not the middle, but down the line. Okay, so what I did to cut these is I cut a little bit off the top and the bottom to get my height, my 7 7/8, because I didn't want to cut too much into this blue border at the top, but I couldn't cut too far up because I didn't want to cut off his feet. So a little bit from the bottom, a little bit from the top. Then what I did is I cut this piece first, and then I cut a little bit off of this side, and then I cut the rest off of this side, just to try to get, I wanted to get a little bit of that line if I could, so that's how I did that. And then this is going to go here, and I'm deciding how I want to finish these. It's kind of a shame that we're ending up with seeing the horse that way. I wonder if we want to put the horse on top, so we're not looking at just the back side of the horse. I'd have to move the magnets, but that's no big deal. Yeah, let's do that. Because I like him on top, but I don't like looking at that. So we are going to remove the magnets, which you should be able to just rub off the adhesive. And we can keep these where they are. Actually, you know what? I wonder, let me think about this. I wonder if we want to put magnets on the base instead of on the flap. In which case I'm going to move all 4 of these. I think I will. Might as well do it now while I have a chance to do it. Because I'm not having pockets or anything here. There's no reason they have to be that way. Alright, so try not to rush like I just did a little bit. So I'm just going to use undo because I don't want to damage this paper. I'll just pop off. So I need to put these here. That one there. That. Let's see, what did I do with the lid of that? Put that on, there it is. There we go, and that'll be like that. Okay, I think that's better. I have that Art Alchemy wax that we've used in a couple of recent projects that I'll probably use at some point in this project as well. But I think I'm going to start with just regular Distress ink. So we have that one and that one, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use Walnut Stain. That's going to be really pretty. And I'm just using Art Glitter Glue, the same glue I always use. Looks good. Oh, I'm glad I decided to put that on the outside. I love the way that looks. Okay. And then we're just going to put the sky right there. Careful of the magnets. You don't want to bruise your paper. Nice. Okay, now let me show you a couple things before we move on. Alright, so for the signatures we need 4 12 by 12 pattern papers. So these are the 4 I've set aside. Now bearing in mind I have 2 12 by 12, so I can still use these papers in other areas. But I've got this one with the castle. I have this one with the fairy and the baby. I have this one with the princess and the arcs on the back. And then I have this one with the prince and princess. So those are the 4 12 by 12s I set aside to go in the signatures that we're going to need. Okay, so put those back aside. And then for here, pull this out. I'm thinking of this one. Let's pull this out. And this way we'll have, it almost looks like he's riding up to the castle and she is sleeping inside. And we can carry it across and then do a border of some, probably of what we have on the back or something where we run out. Or actually, maybe we'll do it the other way. Except if we do it that way, I'm just thinking. If we do it this way, it's going to cut through the text. If we do it this way, it's still going to cut through the text. But I kind of like having her in the 2 bigger pieces. And then something else here. Maybe this piece that we're going to have to cut off. Okay, let me go ahead and cut these 2 pieces. So it's going to be, I think these are the same size? No. This is going to be 4 7/8. This is going to be 5 7/8 because it's 6 inches wide. Is it? Hang on. I hate this ruler. I want my ruler back. Yeah, this is 6 inches wide. So 5 7/8 by 4 7/8. Or this is 5 7/8. This is 4 7/8, and they're both 7 7/8 tall. Okay, so there's the pieces I cut off, or piece I cut off. Okay. So we would have her here, and here, and there. And then I'm thinking, I think that would be fine because it's so narrow, you're not really going to see that it's sideways. But if not, I can use this piece. So either way, we're good. So let's get these down and then we'll figure that out. Unless we're going to wait on that one. We're going to put these two big ones down and then we'll do the other because I don't want a gap. So I may put the spare piece down first so that it's underneath. Like this. Make sure it's straight and even with that one. Use the first mat you put down as your guide. If you put that one a little high or a little low, make all the rest the same. You want them to line up across as best you can. I mean, it may not be perfect, but you want to just do the best you can. Okay, so now we have to decide here. I think the best thing would be to use this side, even though the flowers are going to be going sideways. I don't think it's going to be obvious they're going sideways. if I use this side? Well, let's put this down. Let's see. If we use that side, it's kind of, it's going to be obvious there's something going on. Whereas if I use this side, it's not going to draw your eye. So for that, I need 7 7/8 by 2 inches. And I did end up cutting it from the side that has the paper trimmings, and I'm wondering if I should have cut it from the other, and I don't think I have enough paper to recut it. Hang on. Yeah, I forgot this had that on it. I don't want that on both. Okay, that's gonna be good because this is gonna hide the stems that show that those flowers are sideways. Perfect. Okay. And we'll save that because I think I have a spot for that. I don't know why I'm inking the side that's going to go underneath. Nobody's going to see it. Okay, so we're going to put this piece down first. A lot of times, and I hear it, I feel it myself, and I hear people tell me that the Stamperia papers, they're so beautiful, and they have these great big designs on them, and people don't want to cut them. But if you do things like this, you still preserve that same design and get to enjoy it, but it's in a, an actual project instead of a paper pad. There we go. Okay, and then this one is going to go here, right on top of it. And I wouldn't do an album necessarily where every single spread is preserving the full design of the paper. In that case, you might as well just make a 12 by 12 scrapbook, but I do like to do it with some of them. Okay, looks like that's pretty good, huh? And we could have put this down as a tuck spot. I've done that before, but in this case I'm just going to put it down because we may put a chipboard or something, you never know. Pretty. It almost tells the whole story right there, doesn't it? Arriving at the castle, we have the prince, we have Sleeping Beauty. Nice. Okay. Page 2. Or the second page, I don't know. I always give them a page name while I'm working, and then half the time I end up putting them in a different order in the book. Okay, so this is a belly band. Check your cutting guide. Again, I don't have my actual real ruler. So it's going to be 9 by 2. And I'm just going to eyeball it. It's 6 inches, so if you don't want to eyeball it, it's going to be 2 inches. And hang on. Trying to show you how to measure it. If you just hold it up and then stick your ruler at the 2-inch mark, that should be give or take centered. But whenever I try to do that, I always end up just making a hash of things. I don't know. I'm going to call that centered. Sometimes I think my eyes work better without trying to measure too much. Okay. Of course, my eyes don't work very well at all, so take that with a grain of salt. Okay. And I just want to check that for fit. Oh, that's perfect. A lot of times with belly bands, you end up having to fuss a little bit to get them to fit just right top to bottom, but that one's good. have this piece. That's what I was just thinking I could probably use on the belly band. The only thing is, it's pretty obviously side to side here because there's nothing to hide it. So, something else. I'm kind of gonna wait on these, maybe? I don't know. Let me take a look. Let's see what we have. Let's look at the 8x8. Oh, this might be cute because I think that let's just take a look. On the other side. Okay, I think this would work because this, we could get the cradle on this side and the fairy on that side. Okay, so I need a piece 5 7/8 wide by 7 7/8 tall. Okay, that's my leftover piece, and it's not quite wide enough, but we could maybe double mat it because it does look nice there. Okay, so what I did is I cut this vertically close to the cradle, and then I cut from the other side, and that gave me both of the parts that I want. Perfect. Just like that. And I do like this idea, but I would have to double mat it to get it to fit. And I am not sure what I would want to use, what I even have. I have this. That might work. I don't want to use that because both sides wouldn't be the same. Let me cut this down in width to what I would need. Kind of blends in with the craft. How would it look inked? That's a bit better. And then that on top. I think it'll work, but I feel like I might want something a little more contrasty. Or maybe I don't. I'm going to cut this to size at least so we can see. Alright, so if we were to do that and that. Actually, I do like that because it doesn't take away from the background paper. Okay, so this one is the right size in height, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I'll need to trim that blue one by 1/8 of an inch. Okay, let me trim this one. And so we're just going to put this one centered on top of that one. All right, there we go. The first of our pocket pages is done. I think that came out really nice too. I like it. All kinds of stuff here. Okay, let's see. What time is it? Oh, still early. I like that a lot. What I'm going to do is stop the recording, cut out the pieces for the next bit, and then we'll do that. So I'll be back in a second. Let's keep going up. So while I was cutting the new pieces, I realized I hadn't glued down this piece that goes inside the belly band. So I'm going to do that. And what I like to do with these usually is keep them in place and add the glue. So I'm just checking that I have it lined up the way I want it. So that'll do. I feel like it's not as square as it might be, but it's fine. And once you get the first side down, the second side is pretty well glued already. You just need to add some adhesive. That is one of our pocket page assemblies. Set that aside. Actually, I'm going to put it down here. Now, for the next one, we still have to make our base. Probably have done all these ahead, but once again, I forgot to cut my corners. I don't know what it is with me and not cutting my corners today. Now for this one, on this side, which is going to be, as you're turning the pages, this will be the front of the book. You know, the page you see. When we turn it over, we're going to have this pocket. So I'm going to have this piece from the 8x8 collection as the mat. And then I have pulled this out of the, did I even show you that I had these? I think I did. The cards. What did I do with them? The cards collection. I pulled out a card. If you don't have the cards collection, you can make a card. It's this one. And I've made an envelope to match. And for this envelope, I used a square that was 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. And I used my envelope punch board. If you do not have an envelope punch board, that's fine. So I did the one that is marked A6 for the A6 cards. So 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. And then with that square, let me turn it this way. You would come in 3 3/4 from the corner and make a mark. That's the top left corner, make a mark. Go down 3 3/4 from that same corner, make a mark. Then come to the diagonally opposite corner, come up 3 3/4, come over 3 3/4. Then you are going to score between those lines, and that'll form this rectangle in the middle. Cut out the notches and fold to form an envelope. Okay. Actually, I have it this way. Not that it matters, because we are not really going to see this. What we're going to do is put this underneath this mat so that it works as a flap and then has the card in it. So what I want to do before I do that is, when you make an envelope like this, it ends up with this point. Now you can also do it this way with that on the outside, and I'll do that. Sometimes I do it one way, sometimes I do it the other. Usually I like it on the outside, to be honest, but I don't like that point. So I'm just going to put my ruler down, preferably where I can actually see it, and just draw a line from where it meets the sides, and I'm just going to cut that off. Okay. There, I just think that looks much neater. And then we are going to ink. And when this comes over, this will be visible. So we'll ink that, and we'll ink this. Okay. Might as well ink our background as well. So let's go ahead and seal up our envelope so that that is out of the way. And I'm just put that up where you can see it. Put a little bead of glue down like that. A littler bead of glue than what I did. I'm just going to lift a little of that up. There we go. I really need to clean some of that up. There. All right, that's good. Okay, let us take this and this and this. All right. So what we're going to do, like I said, is put this down in such a way that it can fold over without a problem, that there's enough leeway for that to happen. So I think the easiest way is going to be to actually attach it to the mat and then mat this as one piece. So what I'm doing is, here's the line of the envelope, and I'm just bringing the mat up to just before that fold line, maybe about 1/16 of an inch, to make sure this will come over without an issue. So I'm just going to put some glue down. Don't need too much. Like that. And you want to try to center this top to bottom. You can eyeball it or you can measure it, whatever you're more comfortable with. Just eyeballing. I think I want it a little down. And then before you press everything down, fold it over. I think I want to bring it in just a hair right there. I have like a lump sticking out of this envelope. Hang on. I don't know what that is, but I'm cutting it off. You can actually cut, all of that, a good chunk of that, this flap off if you want. You don't need the whole thing. You really only need a strip, but since I had it, I left it there. Okay, now we are going to take this whole assembly and glue it here and match up the edge of the actual base mat. Don't worry about this. It's going to stick out a little, and that's fine. Okay. Actually, it's not really sticking out. It's just about at the edge, which is good. Okay, flip that up. And down. There we go. And I did not put a magnet. I just don't think it's necessary because we're going to have a fair amount of weight with the card itself, the envelope, and then however we decide to decorate the front of this envelope down the road. Okay, very easy. And then on the back of that page, we're just going to put a pocket at the bottom, which I cut the wrong size. How did I do that? Hang on. Follow your cutting guide. Should be 7 by 3.5, and I believe I cut it 8 by 3.5. Right in front of me. Okay, and you are going to score both short sides and one long side at 1/2 inch. Good. And tape. I am getting low on tape. I need to order some tape. Fortunately, this week is pay week. Okay. I used to get paid every week, which was nice, but then the company switched to every other week, which is fine. That's how most people get paid. So. Okay. And the sewn signature sections have quite a few pockets as well, but most of them don't have the volume that this one will have. And I think we're going to do an accordion pocket on the inside front, not the inside front, the inside back cover, to also give us a storage area with low volume. Trim in the corners. Go. And that is going to go down there, just like that. I'm just double checking to make sure I'm putting it on the bottom. Okay, easy. All right, let me collect some of these little bits and throw them away. When my surface starts getting cluttered, I don't like it. The area all around me is a hot mess. I'm gonna need to dedicate a day or two to just cleaning everything up. When I'm so productive like this, it just produces so much like scraps and they just pile up. Not that I'm complaining. I'm happy to be productive. Okay, let me throw this away. All right, let's see. I've not produced a lot of scraps the way I've been cutting these mats. Well, we haven't actually cut that many mats. Let's see, I have this one, which is the cut off piece from that, but I mean, I kind of want to use something different. This is pretty obviously vertical, so that's not going to do it. I just don't have a lot yet in the way of scraps. Well, I am going to have some scraps when I cut these, but I don't think they're anything that I'm going to want to use. I think... Ooh, what is that? Okay, well that damaged that piece of paper. Some kind of adhesive. That's alright, it'll be fine. I don't even remember exactly my plan for those yet. So, alright, so we can cut something new because we don't really have scraps that work for that. I mean, I could have cut something new regardless, but I didn't see anything I wanted to use, so. Something from the cover might work for the front of the pocket. I know that there's another sheet. There it is. Let's see, we don't want that because that's on the other side. This, I love this piece with the vertical, I don't know if you can see it. I like this piece with the vertical lines, maybe for the background. That's nice. That's this one. So we have the back of that. Let's see. Let's see what I've got in the 8x8. And I've got 2 of each of these, so I can use different ones. We featured this really prominently already, so look at this. And we've used this. Have we used this? Yeah, that's on the card. That's on that card that's in that envelope. So we're good with using that. I kind of like when I was going through, where was that one? Hang on, that I saw. There's this one. Sort of like that, and we've not used this, but that's okay. I have another one. So if we use that there as the pocket lining, and then maybe where's that 12 by 12? Let's go back to 12 by 12, and maybe something from here. Yeah, I don't think down here, because if I cut from down here, it's going to cut people's heads off. Although I can use just this middle section with the horse. Okay, so I think we're going to use this cover. I don't know which part, but we're going to use this cover. Alright, so usually I do this off camera, but you're getting a glimpse into what I'm doing usually. Alright, so this is going to have to be 5 5/8 wide. Yikes. So much stuff. Okay, 5 5/8 wide by, oh, I wanted my ruler. I wish I knew what I did with it. I hate this ruler. I can't even see it. 6. Let's call it 6. Or 5 7/8. 5 7/8 by 6. Alright. So I cut that basically out of the middle. I cut some off each side so that I could get that text that I wanted in the middle. That's nice. And then this needs to be 3 3/8. No, 2 3/8. by 5 7/8. So actually, I'm thinking maybe I will use that. Just this section here. Yeah, cute. All right, let's do that. I always like to have 2 of each size with Stamperia. I know it's a bit of an expense, but it's not too bad really. And the reason, even if I don't think I'm going to use all of that, even if I'm only going to, like if I could do it with 1 and 1, it just gives me so much more leeway in terms of which mats to use. And it makes me feel okay about cutting something because I know I have another sheet and I can use the back, the other side. Otherwise, I feel like, well, if I cut this side, I won't be able to use that side. And that's not an issue when you have 2 of each. All right. I'm just wondering if I should have put a magnet there. No, I don't. I shouldn't. It's fine. Okay, I need to put this one in. I'm trying to... I use a lot of magnets, so and I'm fine with that if I really need them, but I'm trying to not use them if I don't really need them, because I've had some comments about the expense, so I understand that. Believe me. I am very lucky to be working with Scrap and Create and be provided all these beautiful papers, but I still have a lot of other things to buy too to make these, so I get where you're coming from on the cost. But I've said it before and I will say it again. I really strongly encourage you to not skimp on the quality of the materials you make your books out of. Either make fewer books, make smaller books, use more plain cardstock, although even plain cardstock is not cheap. I have used cheap paper before. I've used poor quality materials and regretted it greatly. So even my mock-ups, like that mock-up I started to show you earlier, that's made with Stamperia paper. I'll finish it and show it to you at some point. But yeah, don't use cheap paper. No, you can use cheap paper. Don't use poor quality paper. Okay, so there's that, and there's that. Okay. All right, so we have these 2. Let's do the 3rd one. There are only 3 in this book. And they're all pretty simple because we still have quite a lot going on with the other 2 signatures. All right, am I missing the piece? Nope, they're both here. This time I'll remember to trim my corners. Water my garden in a little bit and then it'll immediately rain. It rains constantly in the summer here, but it's so hot that I have some things in containers that just need to be watered unless it's actively raining. If I know for sure it's going to rain, then I won't, but it says it's 86 and partly cloudy. I don't think so. I was outside earlier. It feels a lot hotter than 86. I'm going to do here is a vellum flap over a full mat, but then later on, or maybe at some, I don't know, at some point we're going to do you know, some decoration on that mat. So what have we got? So I don't want it to be too I don't want the background mat to be too elaborate because we're going to do stuff on top of it. Let's see. So we still have this one that we haven't used. So I wonder if we should just use this one and then that and then the stuff that we're going to put on top. I think that would be a good idea. Okay, so let me cut this mat. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. That's going there, and then I need our vellum flap. I need to score one long side, and normally when I score I use the narrow ball end of my scoring tool, but vellum tears so easily I try and use the larger size if I can, and just score very gently and just score several times, rather than trying to score it just once. And if it tears on you, just get another piece. It happens. I think I have vellum in my list of papers down below. I used to have, and I need to see, I haven't been to a big box store in I don't even know how long. Certainly a year and a half at least. But I used to have some vellums that I got in the, you know, the paper section of, I think, Michael's or Joann's or somewhere. And they had like sparkly snowflakes and stuff on them. Those were great. I used them up. They're great for Christmas albums. I don't get very many papers at big box stores because they don't carry the ones I like, but I did like those. And I'm just trimming the corners. Okay. So we're going to put this piece down first on this side. Just be careful handling vellum. Once you crease it, that's it, it's creased. You won't be able to get it out. So try not to crease it when you're putting it down. If it's in a tiny bit from the edge, that is perfectly fine because this is down in the spine. Okay, there's our vellum. And then we're just going to add this mat here. Like that, and then like I said, we'll come back to it and we'll add other things, but for now that's all we need. I love this, but that looks really cool behind the vellum, but that may be something we add. I don't want to just have a plain piece, and if I put that down, that's all we have. But if you like it, go ahead and do it that way, but I want to add other things. Good. This is going to be where, if you have a photo you really want to feature in this album, this is where it's going to go. Okay, there we go. Good. And then on this side, we are going to do just a large vertical flap, which we may end up trimming for length But we'll see. For now, it's the same size as the pages, so it's cut at 6 by 8.5, scored across the top. Oops. Put that there. I'm using a lot of big mats in this album. Okay, so make sure I'm putting it on the top. And I have a little, my vellum is sticking out a little along that edge, so I may trim a little of that off. All right, this is the top. Okay, and this does need a magnet. Turning it around, trying to be careful of that vellum. And put that there. My glass board is magnetic, so that helps with putting these down. And let's see, do I have a scrap? I know I do, somewhere. Here's one. Need to do my nails, but I'm kind of putting it off because I'm going away for a few days, and I'd kind of rather have it done closer to that time. That reminds me, I once got a comment from somebody saying she would love to watch my videos, but she couldn't because my nails were such a mess, and why didn't I just get a manicure? It's like, okay then. Okay, there we go. There's that. Just playing with that a little bit. It's getting picked up a little by my air conditioning. All right, so that is all 3 of the pocket pages, but we still have to mat these, and I'm just wondering, that's 3 full mats, and is that what we want, or do I need to add something underneath this flap in the way of like another pocket or something? Let me think about that. I don't have to do anything right this minute. Okay, so we need mats for that. All right, let me set these aside. Let's look at the big pieces for the signatures, because I can't remember what I was going to do with them. So let's look at those and see if I can remember. All right, is that all 4? 1, 2, 3, I'm missing one. Okay, what did I do with it? so so 2 of these are going to be cut down to height to 8 inches, folded in half. And I believe this was one of them because the right lower corner will become the cover of one of the sewn signatures. So that's one of them. Okay, and this was definitely not one of them. I think this was the other one. Because this is way too tall, I think, to be a sewn signature. Let me see. Hang on. Now I can't find the stupid ruler that I was using. Okay, hang on. This is the 18-inch version of my favorite ruler. Okay, so maybe I was going to use her because I can get all of her in. But I don't think I can get all of them in. Well, I can. So which one do I want to use? Okay, so this is a definite yes. We're going to use that. And this is going to be for the other piece that we need. So this and this and this and this. Okay, so let's set these two aside for the moment. All right, so these need to be cut down. They're going to be the full width, the 12 inches, but they need to be cut down to 8 inches tall. So let me do that. So these need to be scored at 6 inches. So fold them in half. Oops. Line those edges up as best you can. This one. And there's 2. Okay, so we have those 2 covers for 2 of our signatures, which we only have 2, so that's that. And then we have these, and for these I need my bigger scoreboard. So I'm gonna make a little room. Actually, I don't know if you can see the edge of these is a little rough from the glue, so I'm just going to trim that off. Okay, so I literally just take the teeniest bit off. Okay. For these, we are going, cheapers, stop. We are going to score these in half as well at 6 inches. These, of course, are the full height. These are 12. Okay. And then we are going to score, I might want to measure that one before we do the other score. So let me do this one first. Okay, and what we're going to do is score along here. And the amount that we score here is going to get folded up to make a pocket. And it'll be it's going to have to, like on this case, actually I need to turn this over. This one's going to have to be folded the other way, otherwise that writing is going to be visible and upside down. So hang on. Right, so I want to fold this way. And I think, and you can fold it however much you want. 2 3/4 looks good. It puts it right at the top of there. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to fold it, score it at 2 3/4. So if you're using the same paper as me, that'll work. Okay. And that's going to get folded up like that. So when you do that, we're left with a piece 9 1/4, but it needs to be 8 1/4. I mean, it needs to be 8. So I need to take 1 1/4 off the top. So let me do that. Now, you could make a 4-inch pocket and then you won't have to take anything off the top. But just from the design of this paper, I didn't want to lose that much of the castle. So I just put that in my trimmer with this fold against the 8-inch line and cut. Okay, so that is that one. So let's fold it this way. And that way. Okay. Now that is not going to properly fold like that. Like you won't be able to fold it. So fold it like this. Take your scissors right to the point where this score line is, the horizontal score line, and then just cut a little thin wedge like that, and now you'll be able to fold it. Okay, and there's that one. Now we have to decide how we want to do this one. And I think, where's my, okay, there's that ruler that is right in front of my nose. But let me get this one that I like. Let's see. Just remember this is going to fold up and cover. So if we actually did do a 4-inch, it would be a deep pocket. It would cover. I took, right? That would come up and cover. You'd never know they were there. Like that. Or we could fold it in. But if we fold it in, we have them on the bottom. But we could always mat that. The only thing is we've kind of featured this already. Or we could do this similar to the way we did the cover and not have the folded pocket, and that way we could feature them as well. And then I would be cutting it to 8 inches. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because I can always add a pocket here and not there, and that way we preserve that image. So I'm just going to cut this to 8 inches tall. Sometimes you have to be flexible. On the prototype, I had pockets on both of those. Like I said, I can add a pocket. Okay, there we go. So now we have all of those. And in the prototype, I used a coordinating cardstock. But I'm not sure I have a, like aqua would be ideal, but I'm pretty sure I don't have aqua. I don't want to use navy. There's a lot of green. Green might work. Or we could just use craft. Let me just pull a couple colors. Burgundy would probably go. Let's see. Okay, let's see. This is the green that I like, that I use a lot, and that actually looks nice. I don't have very much of it left, but I only need 2 sheets, and I have 2 sheets. So that's a possibility. Don't like the blue as well. So that's out. I don't even know what color this is. It's like a moss green. It's pretty, but I don't know if you could get your hands on it. You can always use craft, but I think I like the other green better. And we have burgundy. That's a possibility. That looks nice. And then I have baby blue. I'll get that out of the plastic. Doesn't quite go. The blue here is definitely more of an aqua. Okay, so that's out. Now I am down to burgundy and dark green. I feel like the burgundy is going to be the choice. If you don't have it, obviously just use craft. It'll be just fine. Or whatever you're using for your base. You know, if you're using black, use black. Whatever you're using. Okay. And now, let me just do a quick check here. Alright, I was double checking my prototype. So in the prototype, I just cut these to the 8-inch height and folded them in half. And I'm going to do that with one of these. But since I chose not to do the pockets on this one, I'll do the pockets on the plain. So let me go ahead. I'm going to cut one of these. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and do the scoring on. No, let me cut them. I'm dithering. I'm going to cut these to 8 inches. I'm going to cut one of them to 8 inches. And we will score this in half. 6. That. Then we'll take the one we did not cut in half. Score this at 6 inches. I don't like this scoreboard. I'm always jumping out of the ditch. Alright, and then let's do the same as we did on the other, just 2 3/4. I'll fold this up first. Okay, and I'm going to cut it down to 8 inches now from this fold. Okay. Put it this way. Trim out that tiny little triangle or wedge or whatever it is. It really does not have to be very big. Oops, it needs to be bigger than that though. You need to make sure you cut right up to the score line. Hang on. That's going to go like that. Okay. And then this one is just going to get folded in half. Line it up. So we want to make sure that this, let's see, this one it's paired up with this one, which is the pocket one. And which other one? These are the two covers. And I want this to be the first cover. So let's do this one and this one together, and this one together. And that means this one goes with this one. That'll make more sense as we go along. Don't worry about it. Okay, so then the next step is going to be to get our plain paper that we're going to put in there. And I'm going to use coffee dyed paper, and mine is in the oven drying. The oven is off. The light is on, the oven is off. It should be about dry though. I am going to go ahead and stop recording and go check on it. Actually, I think I've recorded for about 2 hours, so I don't want to keep going at this point, or the video will be crazy. It'll be like Gone with the Wind of tutorials. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Hopefully I'll be able to edit all this down to not too long. And next time we will do those pages, the plain ones that we're going to do for our signatures, and we also have that one page, if I can find it, that needs to be matted. Well, it's here somewhere. What do I do with it? Okay, I'm not sure, but in any event. All right, so thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to visit Scrap and Create to purchase your supplies. There is a cutting guide down below for the album. And that is it. I will see you next time. We'll keep going. Bye-bye.